and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, it was a choppy ride for the Nifty yesterday, but a recovery nonetheless. We've actually seen the index trade in the range of nearly about 200 odd points, but eventually it closed above the 22,200 mark. And the Nifty Bank also ended with modest gains yesterday. In fact, it was the volatility index that actually ended lower yesterday after surging for 13 consecutive sessions in a row and more than doubling in that period as well. As we move into the new trading session today, a whole lot of stocks will be reacting to their earnings like Bharti Airtel, Colgate, Bharti Hexacom, also Shree Cement, Siemens and Oberoi Realty will be reacting to the earnings. While today there will be a whole host of other earnings including Power Finance Corporation, Mankind Pharma, Jindal Stainless, Dixon Technologies and many more. Good morning to all our viewers and good morning, Shail.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin our conversation like we always do with a lovely chart of the Nifty, which is right there in front of you. This is the daily chart, and you will notice, ladies and gentlemen, a very thick red line. This red line, ladies and gentlemen, is the battle line for today. It's just about to come up on your screen. This is the daily chart of the Nifty, which shut shop 113 points higher at 22,217. Remember, since the low of Friday, which was the testing of the 100-day exponential moving average, the index has already moved up 400 points, and we are still sort of in that mode where we are not very confident whether this rally will go ahead or not. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Nifty chart in front of you. The thick red line is now the 21-day exponential moving average, where the bulls and the bears will battle it out between the zone of about 22,175 to 22,350. So this is the trading range for today, and now let's analyze the market in some detail. We are on Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, at T-1 as far as the Nifty is concerned. Yesterday's rally of about 113 points was the third in a row. We rose on Monday, we rose on Friday, and of course the market ended at its day's high as far as Tuesday's trade was concerned. Now let's dig a little deeper as far as the Nifty is concerned. Without any doubt, compared with Friday and Monday, the trend has improved. But are we out of the woods? I don't really think so. Like I said, with the 50 and the 100-day exponential moving average is with the bulls. It essentially means now they are gathering strength. I will explain that a little later. The 21 EMA is at stake. Now let's look at the good part of the market and let's look at the bad part of the market. With the good part, you have strong cues coming in from Wall Street. You have a very, very positive opening being suggested by GIFT Nifty. Sakshi will give you all the clues that is coming in from Wall Street, but let's look at the basic one. There has been a record close on the Nasdaq. All these charts are coming right there in front of you. Please pay attention on them. Now again, the four asset classes that are anti-equities or anti-Indian markets are very quiet. You have a muted 10-year US yield chart, which is right there in front of you. It is the lowest since April 10. It is quiet. Nothing to be worried about. The dollar index is down for a third day, and that also is a very, very big positive. Crude oil is sideways. If you look at the last 10 trading sessions, it's done nothing. At about $79 a barrel, it's lying absolutely quiet. Therefore, in our local markets, we will look at the oil marketing company, HPCL, BPCL. Both have announced bonuses. So keep that in mind. The sentiment on them gets better and better. So these are the four things that are doing fairly well. Strong GIFT Nifty, strong Wall Street, muted 10-year bond yield, muted dollar index, muted crude oil, and to some extent muted gold as well. Now what is the bad part? For the 8th day in a row,
all right, I think there is some kind of a technical issue. We will get Shail back on air and he will detail for all of our viewers as to what are the key positives for the earnings as well. Meanwhile, I'll continue to give you the cues from the Wall Street. Remember, the shares ended higher, shrugging the producer price index data due to the big tech rally that we saw. So the S&P 500 index and the Nasdaq, they inched higher by 0.5% and 0.75% respectively, with the Nasdaq closing closing at record high levels, as Shail has pointed out. The Dow Jones, however, also rose by about 0.3% in trade. Now, mirroring these gains, we've seen that the markets in the Asia Pacific region also rise in the early trading action today, taking cues from the overnight stocks rally in the United States. Now, moreover, traders are keenly awaiting the release of the US CPI print for April later in the trade today as well. As for the Gift Nifty, it's been trading higher by 58 points, or about quarter percent higher at 22,372. That indicates a positive opening for the domestic indices, both Nifty and the Sensex today. Now, as far as the flows are concerned, remember the foreign institutions have sold in another 4,000 odd crore rupees worth of stocks in the cash market as of yesterday, taking the overall sell-off tally in the last 7 trading sessions to well over $3 billion as well. So, yesterday's selling figure was 4,065 odd crore rupees. However, domestic institutions have continued to remain net buyers for 16 straight trading sessions, and they mopped up equities worth about 3,527 odd crore rupees in yesterday's trading action. Now, I'm keeping a keen eye out on several stocks that have reported earnings. Let me detail for you what are these earnings like. So, Bharti Airtel, it's going to be in focus. The telecom company has reported a 28% decline in its net profit. That's way below the estimates on a consolidated sequential level. Revenue is also down by 0.8% at 37,599 odd crore rupees. EBITDA was lower by 2.3% at 19,365 odd crore rupees. Margins have also lowered or ebbed lower to 51.5% versus 52.3% earlier. And of course, like I said, net profit down 28% to 2,068 odd crores. So the stock will be reacting. Remember, ahead of the earnings as well, the stock was muted in trade yesterday. Siemens India for Q2 has reported its consolidated year-on-year numbers, where the revenue has gone up by 18.4% at 5,750 odd crore rupees. Net profit is up by 70.2% at 803 crores. Margins have improved to 15.3% versus 12.8% earlier. Remember, Siemens has also said that it is going to be demerging and listing its energy business on the lines of global carve-out by the German parents 3 years ago as well. And Siemens and the shareholders will also receive 1 share of Siemens Energy for every share of Siemens as well. And this could be completed by, say, 2025 is what the broader expectation is as per the analyst expectations. Shree Cement is going to be in focus. Q4 FY24 consolidated year-on-year numbers show that the revenue inched up higher by 6.5% to 5,433 odd crores. EBITDA improved by nearly 60%. Margins improved to 26.2% versus 17.4%. So a blowout number there. And of course, the net profit up 28.7% at 676 crores. So I'm keeping a keen eye out on this one too. The other major earning will be Colgate-Palmolive for Q4. On a consolidated year-on-year number, we've seen that the revenue inched higher by 10.4% at 1481 crores. Margins improved to 35.3% versus 33%, and the net profit also improved by 20% to 380 crore rupees. The other one that I'm keeping a keen eye out on is Oberoi Realty. For Q4, consolidated year-on-year basis, revenue was higher by 36.8% at 1315 odd crores. Net profit improved substantially by 64% at 788 crores, and margins also came in at 60% versus 38.3%. It will be keen to watch out as to whether these numbers will be sustainable. We'll be joined by managements also to understand more about the future going forward. Patanjali Foods, that also reported its numbers. Revenue up 4.4% at 8,222 crores, and this is EBITDA up 14% at 371 crores. The margins came in at 4.5% versus 4.1%, and the net profit, however, was down by 22% at 206 odd crore rupees. So these are some of the earnings that I'm keeping a keen eye out on. I think Shail is back with us. Shail, can you hear us now?
Yes, actually, loud and clear. I wonder whether you mentioned Canara Bank. There is a stock split. The price that you see 565 will be adjusted by a base of 5, which essentially means you'll see somewhere like 113, 115, and if we are very lucky, 120, 125. So it's a 5-for-1 stock split. It makes life easier for retail participants, and that's how life is structured. So 5-for-1 stock split is what I'm looking at on Canara Bank, and a couple of interesting names that have entered the MSCI India index from I think the date is June 3rd. They are again Canara Bank. There are about 13 companies that have come into, and 3 have been displaced. Sakshi, have we discussed this, or
no, we
should we go on?
No, you can continue to discuss this. I just pointed out the earnings.
Okay. Okay, fine. So Bosch, remember the third quarter when the stock blew out is the reason why probably you've seen a very strong expectation of continued strength. Therefore, it is now a part of the MSCI India index. So Canara Bank, Bosch, JSW Energy, Indus Stars, Jindal Steel and Power, and Jindal Stainless. These are the 7 names that come to my mind immediately. I arranged them in their order of strength, and therefore you need to keep these eyes out for stocks. And the ones that are exiting the setup within the MSCI India index, ladies and gentlemen, are no surprises here. Paytm, lots of corporate pain now getting visible on indices as well. So Paytm will make an exit. Also Berger Paints, as also Indraprasth Gas. So these are the 3 companies that will be exiting the MSCI index. I am a little saddened about Berger Paints, but then such is life. Also Sakshi, will be keeping an eye out on 2 or 3 stocks whose earnings are tomorrow, including Mahindra and Mahindra. Remember, the company has opened bookings for its latest SUV. It is already at a record high. We need to keep this counter in mind. Of course, Container Corporation of India, the top draw as far as logistics is concerned. The top defense play, Hindustan Aeronautics, and Gas Authority. So these are the earnings that will come tomorrow, but the positioning of this will be taking place today. So keep these eyes out on the following stocks. Sakshi.
Right. Apart from this, there are several other brokerage houses reports also that I'm keeping a keen eye out on. Remember, Jefferies, on the back of earnings of Siemens, has given a buy rating to the stock with the target price that's risen to 8,000 by the brokerage firm. The Jefferies believes that going forward, the company could be benefiting from sizable power transmission capex ordering, which should lead to operating leverage surprises with higher capacity utilization. So we'll keep a keen eye out on Siemens. On PVR, HSBC has downgraded the stock to hold rating with the target price that's also slashed to 1520. They said that PVR has reported its weakest quarter of FY24, below consensus estimate, subdued occupancy rate which weighed on the margins too. They also believe Q1 FY25 has started on a weak note, and Q2 also faces a high base, and therefore they expect any meaningful growth recovery only in the second half of fiscal year 2025. Shree Cements, Nomura has given a buy rating with a target price of 33,400. They do believe that the earnings are beat on all expectations. The company has also recorded highest ever EBITDA per ton. Now, Bharti Airtel, Jefferies has given a buy rating with a target price that's risen to 1590 by them. They also believe that encouraging fourth quarter with strong subscriber additions and mix improvement and also higher mobile ARPU, it has surprised the street positively. So those are some of the other brokerage houses reports that I'm keeping a keen eye out on. Remember, there is also an action that we need to keep an eye out on the primary market space. Go Digit General Insurance will be opening for subscription. The price band is set at 258 to 272 rupees per share, and this is definitely in 1176 odd crore rupees the company has raised from anchor investors, and it's a combination of both fresh issue of 1125 odd crore rupees and the rest of it is an offer for sale. We'll keep an eye out on Go Digit. Plus there'll be 2 listings. TBO Tech, the shares will debut today. Remember, it had an issue price of 920 rupees and it's a 1550 odd crore rupees IPO. Now, as far as Aadhar Housing is also concerned, again, the shares will debut today. The issue price was at 315 rupees a share as well. This IPO was subscribed 25.5 times on the third and the final day of the 3000 odd crore rupees IPO. So these are some of the other stocks that I'm keeping an eye out on, Shail.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, what will be in focus? The stocks that have run up fairly sharply over Monday and Tuesday. I'll also like you to see the Nifty Mid Cap Index. Remember, yesterday's rally, while was muted on the Nifty, it was in fairly strong shape as far as the Nifty mid cap is concerned and the small cap is concerned. So these two indices will also be in focus. Of course, we'll be running the entire gamut of the PSU space. Remember how HUDCO, remember how Engineers India, the Railway Pack, IRFC, RVNL, RailTel, RITES, how they rose substantially. And Sakshi, if you remember, about 15 days ago, we had Mr. Ashish Chaturmota from JM Financials on the show, and he mentioned the bearing sector. Just see how prices of Timken India have shot up from that level. This was sub 2600 at that point of time. It's crossed 3700 rupees at a record high. So in a span of less than 15-17 trading sessions, we've seen about 60-70%, my apology, a 50-45% jump in prices of Timken India, and they look better from now on. Even SKF India, even Schaeffler, these are MNC bearing players which make the automobiles run, ladies and gentlemen. In the case of Timken, you also have a 40% revenue stream coming from the railway sector. Remember, railways practically runs on bearings provided by Timken India. So keep these themes and sectors in mind. From the PSU basket, the defense space, very strong show in the entire shipyard space yesterday. Cochin, Grasim, Garden Reach, as well as Moscow Dock, BEL, BDL, HAL. In fact, yesterday it was difficult to go through the list where names have surged dramatically, but even today Siemens, Sakshi has given you details for the blowout quarter, and for long-term shareholders it's a very strong announcement of one free share for its energy business, which will be independently listed. Sakshi.
Right. Of course, apart from this, I'm also keeping a keen eye out on some of the other stocks as well. Like, I think Cipla, I'm going to be keeping a keen eye out on. There are news reports that are indicating, remember, this has been long known as well, and of course expected to, that the promoter Hamid family may be selling about 2.53% Cipla stake for around 2,367 odd crore rupees. So that is one stock that I'm keeping a keen eye out on. Apart from this, remember, I'll be also discussing with guests as far as Varun Beverages is concerned. The stock has had a strong showing on the stock exchanges, and after the Q4 results, the stock has jumped 5% yesterday also, and now the brokerage houses are giving a positive report even on this one too. And of course, apart from this, I'm also keeping a keen eye out on Mankind Pharma. There is some kind of a buzz that the company may be planning to acquire Bharat Serum and Vaccines as well. So that is another stock that I am keeping a keen eye out on. Remember, yesterday also Mankind Pharma was seen inching higher in trade, and there could be some more buzz on the street. So keep an eye out on this stock too in trade today. Apart from this, a very interesting thing to note is that Tata Motors, we've been discussing all through and through over the last 3 days odd or so. This is for the first time in the last decade that we've seen Tata Motors profitability for the quarter has overtaken TCS, and it's now become the most profitable group firm after 10 years as well. So those are some of the stocks that I thought that I will be discussing with the guests in trade today. Shail.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's also pay attention to a small company called Nelcast. Remember, this is a forgings giant based out of Western India, and there are some updates that are coming in from its con call. It says that there is an ongoing order and production for 4 to 5 years for the delivery vans, with anticipated sales volume of 2,500 to 3,000 units per month. Remember, this is coming from its con call update. It says production of medium and heavy commercial vehicles is expected to bounce back in FY25 with the possibility of achieving 30% of production in Q4. This is the con call update. Two more things coming in. Nelcast expects 20,000 tons in the current quarter and 24 to 25,000 tons in the second half of the year. This is, of course, the forging amount that we do, and it says that growth from new products, including the EV business, is what is being expected. Let me just draw this chart for you right in front of you. Remember, Nelcast has an all-time high of about 175 rupees. Let me see how is it positioned. 143 at the moment, and the all-time high was 195, ladies and gentlemen. This was somewhere in November of 2023. So keep an eye out on Nasdaq as well. I'm so sorry, Nelcast as well. What are the other shares that we need to look at? We are just waiting for Mr. Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President for Geojit Financial Services, to watch us, to join us, and of course a little later Mitesh Panchal on the technical side will also be joining. So Sakshi, Nelcast has just sent an update. There is another update that is coming in from Jubilant Ingravia. It says via its con call that its EBITDA margin for specialty chemicals is expected to be at least 17 to 18% in steady state. It's given a guidance for FY25 also. We'll keep that in mind. DLF from its con call guidance says fiscal for 24-25 is about 17,000 crore rupees in sales. So these are the three updates that we are getting from DLF, Jubilant Ingravia, and of course Nelcast. Sakshi.
Right. Meanwhile, some important statements that were coming in from the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman all of yesterday. We'd like our viewers to listen to that. As a positive indication, she has talked about how there is a financialization of savings really continuing as a trend in India, and more and more money from household savings is now coming in to the stock markets by way of mutual funds, by way of direct investments, and this could be an indication from the rising trends that we are seeing in the demat accounts as well. Let's listen into what the Finance Minister had to say.
India has prided itself about how it's a savings driven economy. Today that savings is still happening, but it's not just happening in post offices and in fixed deposits. It's now showing up also in retail demat accounts, because through technology and the way in which compliance for listed companies have happened in the last several decades, people are able to see it transparently about how board-driven processes have brought in efficiency and corporate governance has improved. People are willing to put money in the stock markets because they are better informed. And as a result, where in 2013 we had only 2 crore demat accounts, retail demat accounts, today we have 15.1 crore demat accounts.
All right, so that was Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman talking about how more and more Indians are invested in the markets and there is a financialization of savings taking place. We now have our guest with us. Gaurang Shah joins in, Senior Vice President, Geojit Financial Services. Gaurang, warm welcome to you on Business Today Television. Very good morning. Do tell us, what is the sense that you have as far as the market trend as it is recovering now? Are there finally the nerves settling around the elections uncertainty, and perhaps that there could be a disturbance with the way the BJP could be looking at coming into the power for the third consecutive time? How are you looking at this trend emerging?
Thank you, Sakshi, and morning to all of you all. First of all, apologies. I was stuck in a traffic, so had no choice. That's why I was late for the show, so apologies for that. And I normally don't try to wear that political hat, to be very honest. Morning to you as well, Shail. I'm sorry I didn't. I was only able to see Sakshi on the screen. So, let's hope that on 4th of June we have a better story to tell after whatever has happened, especially with that unsolicited, unorganized, unwarranted international universities of WhatsApp, YouTube, X, Insta, etc., and the news flows over there had actually spooked the markets for the last couple of days. And even last week, I think there were a lot of unnecessary noise that was there on all the social media regarding election, etc. So, going by, we have completed 4 phases of this second longest election after 1952. We have 3 more to go. Let's hope that the overall participation in terms of exercising your franchise, in terms of going and voting, the remaining 3 phases really catch up and we have a better number to tell. But I would not want to, jump the gun because, on networking, to be very honest, Sakshi, the networking that we do over here in Mumbai, over there are a lot of, opinions which say that anywhere between 350 to 370. But the Honorable Home Minister yesterday, Mr. Amit Sharma, made a statement that they are virtually after 4 phases, they are close to 270, which is beyond the majority mark, and we have 3 phases to go. So let's hope we have a better story to tell. But coming to the markets, I think we discussed last week, we are of the same opinion. Choppiness, volatility will be high. India VIX needs to cool down. It doesn't look to be anywhere close to cooling down, at least to the level where it was trading yesterday. As we go deeper into the election mode, as we approach the monthly expiry, this choppiness and volatility is going to be high. From 22,794 that we touched about 2 weeks back on Friday, and then a lower level of somewhere close to about 21,840 gives you a correction about 900 points or so on the Nifty. From this kind of correction, we've seen bounce back for the last 2 days, Monday and yesterday. This pullback can possibly take you to a little bit much more higher level, but problem, Sakshi, is that I don't think we are going to be able to sustain. Volatility is at its peak, and India VIX is the witness to that.
Okay. A very good morning to you, Gaurang, and it's always a pleasure to see you. Now you have to promise to stay back 10 minutes extra for the 10 minutes that we weren't able to question you from 8:45 to 8:55. This is all for the benefit of our viewers only. We have nothing, how should I say, ulterior in mind as far as Sakshi and I are concerned. The market welcomes you, Gaurang, with a very nice. क्या बात है. तो आज आपके दर्शन थोड़ी लंबी अवधि के लिए होंगे और इससे सभी का फ़ायदा होगा. लेट्स लुक एट द प्री ओपन रेट्स. गौरांग, you have 22,240 on the screen as far as Nifty is concerned. Let's look at what the market is telling us in terms of index heavyweights. We'll take a look at what HDFC Bank is doing. 12 rupees higher, 1473. Reliance 14 rupees higher, 2855. And Infosys a rupee higher, 1425. Tata Motors and Bajaj Finserv are the two top gainers, 1% higher and 1.5% higher. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very positive start, and remember, in the early part of our conversation I mentioned that a battle today will be on the 21-day exponential moving average as far as bulls and bears are concerned. The stock to watch and the one to discuss is Siemens, ladies and gentlemen. 10% up. This is, remember, the first up circuit that is permitted in the F&O space. 73.26. It's a record high, needless to mention, and this is after a very, very strong set of earnings that Sakshi has already discussed. In the pipeline is Shree Cement, 3.5% higher. Very strong set of fourth quarter earnings, expansion in margin and top line, 26,890 for you. These are the two that are looking good. Oberoi Realty, although the earnings were muted, 2% higher, 15, now it's almost 1600, 5% higher. And Canara Bank is something that I need to look at. You will see a different price. It's settled post 5:1 split at 116 rupees. It is still 2.4% higher. These are the numbers that are coming in front of me. Let's look at a very quick F&O view. Okay, we've discussed first three. Indus Stars, a new entrant into MSCI India Index, 1.9% higher. Nothing much that catches my fancy. Tata Power is on the green, Vedant is on the green. Let's look at the most active counters, that will give you an idea. Okay, tepid earnings from Bharti below par, and the market pretty pissed, 2.5% lower, 1251. We'll let that be. Let's get Gaurang into the conversation. Gaurang, my first question is on Siemens. Whether it's a 10% uptick or a 5% space up, is this a price to chase?
Honestly, Shail, don't, I always recommend one thing, that don't try to chase the market or any particular stock, especially when you have a, 5-10% uptake on fallback of maybe quarterly numbers or certain announcement, etc., etc. You should wait for the euphoria to settle down. You will get plenty of opportunities, Shail, and like I mentioned, I think we've got still about 20 odd days to go for decisively knowing the outcome of the election. And this 15 to 20 odd days will give you plenty of opportunity in terms of participating into the equity market. So, I mean, we do have coverage on Siemens, but my sense is that you should not chase the 5-10% upside. Likewise, you have stocks like ABB, KEC International, L&T, Thermax, which operates into this particular capital goods engineering space. And this entire cap goods engineering space looks extremely exciting, including ABB India. And I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities for these companies to, showcase a very strong order book and execute it and take the performance in terms of quarter-on-quarter numbers to the next level.
Fair point. Mitesh Panchal has also joined us to wrap up the technical part of the market. Good morning to you, Mitesh. Your two top picks for today. Mitesh, could you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't. Yes, sir. Your two stock picks for today. Good morning to you and a very warm welcome.
Yeah, good morning. Two picks starts from, one is from Adani Group. First is Adani Enterprise. If you look at the chart pattern of Adani Enterprise, yesterday it has given a very strong up move, and now the stock is trading comfortably above its immediate resistance levels. So we are of the view that Adani Enterprise is up for a very strong upside from the current level. So as far as the charts are concerned, I think above 3020 stock has given us a very strong breakout. So we recommend to go long in Adani Enterprise, the stop loss of 3000 for a first target of 3150 and a second target of 3200. Second among this is Ratnamani Metal. I mean, after a steep fall and a healthy correction, Ratnamani Metal is now showing a very strong strength at the current level. So Ratnamani Metal again is a buy call from the current level. Here the stop losses are a bit of a little bit deeper. With respect to the fact that the stock has recently formed its bottom. So there are chances that stock will once again retest its bottom. So we are placing our stop losses at 3050, 3050. So at 3158 stock is a buy for a potential target of 3300 and 3400. Both the counters are ready for a very strong up move, and after a healthy correction, both the stocks are now up for a very good upside.
Okay, got that. So Adani Enterprises and Ratnamani Metals, we'll keep an eye out on these two stocks by Mitesh. Gaurang, I also wanted to take your view on Bharti Airtel with the muted set of numbers that have come through in Q4, missing the estimates on the Africa business, on ARPUs as well, and several other factors. Jefferies has given a downgrade to this one, and the target price of 1590 odd rupees, however, continues to stay from Jefferies. However, what would your view be on Bharti Airtel? There is a strong buzz that the price hikes could be coming in after the elections, tariff hikes for the telecom players.
Oh, I strongly believe that, Sakshi, and my sense is that, one of disappointment in a company which operates in cellular service provider space should not be a reason for changing your long-term objectives and goals. We maintain a positive view on Bharti Airtel, and second largest cellular service provider in India. A huge base to cater to, and that base is growing every month on month. ARPOs I think Bharti Airtel management was one of the management which was quite vocal enough to tell us that ARPUs are likely to go towards at least in upwards of 15 to 20% in the next maybe about year or so, or maybe a little bit longer. And that's what exactly, post the pandemic, if you actually go to see the data uses, which a common person like you and me does, has gone up considerably, and so is the tariffs. Whether you are a prepaid or a postpaid provider, both sides you are paying higher tariffs, and these tariffs are likely to go up by another 15 to 20% is what our estimates also is. So, barring one-off quarters, we remain optimistic on the sector as well as.
Right. So, Gaurang, in the same breath, could you also give us your view on Bharti Hexacom after the earnings that have come through? Sequentially, we've seen an uptake on most of the parameters, margins, EBIT, revenues, and even the profits that are up by 5% odd. Today, the stock is indicating a 4% higher opening.
So we had come out with a subscribe note for the IPO. Sakshi standalone, there is no such report that I can speak of. But making that IPO note as a base, my sense is that anyway, and it's by default, Sakshi. If you are positive on Bharti Airtel, I don't think it's the reason for you to be negative on Bharti Hexacom.
Gaurang, let me press you on this one. And it's the manufacturing space, the entire capex cycle that is right there in front of us is what I want to take your view on, and that's why I had asked you on Siemens. Since Siemens looks a bit overstretched, in this entire manufacturing side, the ancillaries that help us run factories, the likes of AIA engineering, Telecom engineering, the back end of India's manufacturing backbone, is there a set of stocks or a particular stock that you like? Reason why I ask is that a couple of sector specific funds on the manufacturing space are open, and of course after ABB and Siemens performance over the last 20 days, this is the one that is in heavy demand. What do you like here?
So I think KEC International is there, Thermax is there, L&T is there, on which we have a positive view. And
Yes.
My sense is, Shell, that, and I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong. I think there are some sector dedicated funds that have taken off in form of NFOs by some asset management companies, manufacturing, theme that they carry. And if you have to go by the same logic and extend it forward to the government policies, then my sense is that if you are going to have a very focused approach towards manufacturing and making India one of the top spots in terms of outsourcing for the rest of the world, then cap goods engineering is going to be something that is going to be in the spotlight. One company that I would like to mention over here is a government-owned company which is basically a focus into green hydrogen is Engineers India Shell. This stock also looks quite promising.
Okay. Fair point. Now, this is a very good call that has come in. One that has not sort of shot up rapidly as ABB and Siemens, which is Engineers India. Remember, yesterday and the last 2 days have been pretty good for engineers, but this is a very calm, quiet stock that Gaurang has chosen upon in the space that is buzzing. Coming to you, Mitesh, your view on Engineers India and Siemens.
Both the stocks are, after a very long period of time, even if you look at the chart pattern of other MNC stocks, they are now appearing on the surface. So I am of the view that the trend is intact for both Siemens and ABB. And among these two, if I chartically have to pick up one stock, then I think Siemens is the stock which I would like to pick up. Reason being is this, that after a consolidation, if you look at the weekly chart, after a consolidation from a week ending 5th of April to 26th of April, I mean that range of 5,770 has been crossed over successfully, and now stock is trading way ahead of that particular range. So yes, I am of the view the stock will now enter into a new trading range, and probably 7,500, 8,000 will come sooner than later. Probably in the next 6 to 9 months, we can view this target.
Okay, Gaura, I'm coming to you again. On Cipla, I wanted to discuss with you. The stock is indicating a higher opening again today. A report suggesting that promoters are selling up to 2.5% stake for 2,637 odd crore rupees. This has been long awaited. Finally, 3 block deals are expected to take. How are you really looking at the stock post this stake sale?
On Cipla, again, one of the top 4 names in the pharma space, Sakshi, if we were, I mean, there are other names also in the pharma universe, but top 4 names would be Cipla, Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, and Divi's Laboratories. Extremely positive about the prospects that the management has spoken about, not only the launches in the domestic market, but even in the international market. I think the value size of new launches is going to be quite huge, especially in terms of dollars. And my sense is that if you're not looking at short to medium term fluctuations because of the events which are lined up, you should look at opportunities of investing in Cipla from a long term point of view. And of course, if you have it in your portfolio, continue to hold it.
Yes.
Okay, understood that. What about you, Mitesh? Would you be looking at a trade today on Cipla?
See, as far as Cipla is concerned, Sakshi, it is definitely giving a very strong sign. Reason being is this, that the recent bottom, which it has formed at around 1317 odd levels, will not be broken up. We are of the view. And stock, despite the fact that yesterday it had a weak closing, but we are of the view that stock will sooner than later come back. So yes, definitely I would look for a buying opportunity at the lower level.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are at 9:14, about let's say 30 seconds left for the market to open. It's Wednesday, T-1 for Nifty and the weekly expiry of the Bank Nifty. We are in fit and fine shape over the last 2 days. Sentiment has improved for the better on the last street. We are looking at 21 EMA to be discussed and fought between bulls and bears for the day. Let's look at what prices are as of now. Remember, the Nifty has settled 37 points higher at 22,255 as far as the main index is concerned, and all 10 index stocks have in terms of heavyweights shut shop in the pre-open in the green. It will be a very interesting day for the entire PSU pack. We are looking at earnings expectations from Siemens. That is the first stock I will track. 5.8% higher, a fresh record high, 70,050 for you. The index, ladies and gentlemen, has opened 43 points higher on the Nifty, 43 points higher on the Nifty Bank, which has its weekly expiry today. A nice thick green tick on Nifty 500. This is very, very important. 20,741, 56 points higher, and a nice green tick on the Nifty IT index. Now let's look at what HDFC Bank is doing. It's 9 rupees lower, 1451. What is Reliance doing? 2 rupees higher, 2842. What is Infosys doing? 2 rupees higher, 1426. There isn't much of a move in the 3 super index heavyweights. Which is the top gainer among the index heavyweights? SBI. This is very interesting. 4 rupees higher, 823. Nothing much to talk about here. We'll do a very quick detour into FNO and look at stocks that have gained substantially. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, news driven. Siemens now is gaining strength, 8% higher, 7207. Canara Bank post split, a very, very strong readjustment, 4% higher, 118. Cipla, news of a block deal, 3.9% higher. The transaction has already been done, 1410. News driven, Oberoi Realty, strong earnings, 1.9% higher, 1549. You have a fairly strong traction coming into Indus Stars, 2% higher. Which are the most active counters? Well, it's Siemens and Cipla. So these are the 2 stocks that we'll be tracking on charts as far as strength is concerned. Even Apollo Tyres, despite muted earnings, the counter is up 1%. Very quickly, what's happening in FNO and beyond NSC 500? Let's look at it. Okay, Thermax is gaining ground, 8% higher, 5066. Policy Bazaar, 4% higher, 1270. JSW Energy 3% higher, 619. A very quick look at what the broader markets are doing. We track 19 stocks indices for you, ladies and gentlemen. 17 are in the green. The PSU and the pharma and the metals index are in fine shape. Let's get Mitesh into the conversation. Mitesh, what would you prefer, Cipla or anything else on the long side?
Two stocks, Shailji. First, definitely Cipla, because early in the morning, I mean, we have not completed just 10 minutes and there is a strong buying interest going on in the counter, 1422 in the on the future side. So definitely Cipla is on the radar with a stop loss of 1390 for an intraday target of 1450, 1460. Second, which is catching my eye, is IEX. If you look at the chart pattern of IEX, it is also gaining ground, 147.25 as of now, with a stop of 144 for an intraday target of 150 to 155. Very strong up move can be witnessed in IEX for the day.
Okay, got that. So let's look at some of the other big buzzers as well. Apart from Cipla and Bharti Airtel, Hindalco is picking up pace again today, 1% higher in trade. You also have the energy names like BPCL, Coal India, NTPC. They're all up and about. Adani Enterprises, as was being mentioned by Mitesh, that's also opening about 1% higher in trade. So metals, oil and gas, they are in the thick of action. Even the PSU banks are in the thick of action. So you have SBI that's opening 0.7% higher. You have PNB that's also inching higher in trade as well. Then you also have Hero MotoCorp that continues its upward run, about 0.5% higher in trade again today after consecutive 5 sessions of a move and all-time high levels being seen on this one as well. Let me bring in Gaurang here, because there cannot be any auto stocks discussion complete without Gaurang giving us his view. Gaurang, Hero Moto now, record highs 5066. How are you perceiving this one?
5,400, Sakshi, is the level that we look out for on the fundamental side. And let me say this, that we have been extremely positive in terms of the entire auto pack. This is not the first time that we are discussing this. And as a sectorial pick, if you have to look at the two-wheeler segment, Sakshi, it also gives you a vision into how the recovery is as far as the semi-urban rural India is, tier 2, tier 3 and the lower end cities and the demand over there. Excited about the launches that Hero MotoCorp has lined up, and my sense is that the Mavic along with Harley 440 should do well in terms of the top end segment of the two-wheelers and also the mid and the entry level. So I think 5,400 should be the level that you should look out for in case if you're a long-term fundamental investor.
Okay, staying with the auto space, Gaurang, what about Tata Motors? It's overtaken TCS in terms of quarterly profits and it's now the most profitable company in the firm in terms of quarterly profits at least.
So actually, I think any incremental uptick that you want to witness in Tata Motors, if I have to purely put the valuation and the earnings, then to do any incremental upside and to go forward, I think number one would be to deliver much better in terms of earnings. I would not talk about quarter on quarter, I will talk about half yearly and yearly. And I'm sure they will deliver that. Much more incremental positivity will come in from the commentary that the management made about making the balance sheet debt free. And third one would be in terms of pushing the JLR sales to the next level. These three things will be incrementally positive in terms of the stock price to move up north. But we remain positive as an investment idea on Tata Motors.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's now dig a little deeper into the market. The Nifty is 40 points higher, 22,250. The advanced decline in the broader markets is 1672 shares in the green, 357 in the red. It's a fabulous 5:1 kind of an advanced decline, and almost all major indices are doing well. I want to see what's happening on the mid cap index and the fact that the small cap index, okay, 0.6% higher on the small cap index, 16,465. The mid cap index is equally strong, and more than 75% of 100 shares in both these indices are in the green. What's as a sectoral view playing? I think it's the BSE Power Index which is doing phenomenally well. The Nifty doesn't have an equivalent power index to show you, but the BSE Power Index 1.8% higher, 7480, is clicking very well. There is absolutely no stopping what's happening in the metal space. Hindalco is rolling ahead, 656, 1.3% higher. Remember, it's unlisted subsidiary in the US. The aluminium giant Novelis will be getting listed fairly shortly, $1.5 billion worth of IPO. That money will come into Hindalco. Apart from that, you have strength in Oberoi Realty, 1597, 4% higher. I think this is a chart to check because the earnings were pretty good. Mitesh, coming to you, Oberoi Realty, what are the charts telling you? Already a 5% uptick and a record high. Are we late, or is this the time?
I think this is just the beginning for Oberoi Realty. After a lot of consolidation and accumulation, the stock is now finally up above 1550 technically. So on a monthly and quarterly chart, that is a very steep resistance which now the stock is crossing and probably making a heart of higher bottom formation on a daily chart. So combination of all these things, heart of higher bottom formation on daily chart and on monthly and weekly chart, trading above 1550, making the counter exceptionally interesting. So this is just a beginning. We are of the view that 1800, 1900 is on the card in the next 1 to 3 months. You have to be little bit careful with the deeper stop loss because volatility is going to increase going forward because it's a high beta counter. So with a stop of 1480, that is exactly 100 points below this current market price, one can go for a target of 1700, 1800 in next 1 to 3 months. Very good chart, very strong breakout.
Okay, let's look at the BSE Power Index in a bit of detail. It's just blowing away. I'll just mark the stocks for you. Siemens we've discussed. The second one is JSW Energy. Why is this buzzing? It will be included in the MSCI India Index. 4.5% higher, 626. You have a strong move coming into CG Power, 2.9% higher, 626. NTPC is buzzing away, 2% higher, 363. Tata Power, BHEL, NHPC, all showing very, very smart gains. Sakshi, what are you watching? Power Finance Corporation taking it away, 429. So it's across the board as far as the power space is concerned. Even the hydropower producers, SGVN, NHPC, all in the green. Sakshi.
Absolutely, and Tata Power also among those gainers, about 1.5% higher in trade. So the entire power space is in the thick of action yet again, and we will see probably a strong move coming in all through the day today as well. Apart from this, I'm looking at a few stocks that are actually inching higher. Barmer Lorry is up about 5% again in trade today. You have PB Fintech, Policy Bazaar's parent company, that's again 5.5% higher. You have V-Mart Retail, that's another one that's got my attention again. A 5% up move can be seen on this, and Thermax is very, very strongly up, seeing a strong gain today. Thermax is up by about 10 odd percent. Let me quickly check the chart with Mitesh first on Thermax. Mitesh, how would you really look at the stock after this bounce? I remember there were brokerage houses reports. Jefferies expected about a 16% uptick for this stock. It's already risen about 94% in a year. Despite this kind of a strong move, is there still upside?
Yeah, definitely, Sakshi. The reason being is this, that if you look at the weekly chart, stock has formed its intermediate bottom at 4978 on 26th of April 2024. Now that particular level has been crossed out today with a very strong volume early in the hour. So definitely it's a buy. After a very strong consolidation for the fourth week, this is a breakout which one can chase. And we are of the view that with a deeper stop loss of 4850, one can go long in Thermax. This is just a beginning. After a fresh breakout, 400, 5500 is on the card for the next 1 to 3 months. So yeah, definitely Thermax is a buy. One can chase even after a gain of 8.5%.
Okay. Gaurang, I wanted to take your view again on these internet-based stocks. PB Fintech is sharply higher in trade today, 5.5% uptick can be seen on this one, whereas Zomato has been pretty volatile after the earnings. Good earnings came through, and then there was this news that it's going to be surrendering its license to the RBI as far as payments aggregator license is concerned. How are you looking at these two stocks, and which one looks positive?
So, Sakshi, PB Fintech is something that we don't have a coverage, but Zomato, we've been discussing this particular name for a pretty long period of time, and we continue to remain positive. I think Blinkit is something that is going to possibly blink your eyes twice in terms of the performance and the contribution to the balance sheet as we go into the future. And my sense is that the overall performance should look in a much better shape. And of course, not to forget, after the numbers, I think we've had one too many upgrades coming in for Zomato. So we remain optimistic. There might be a little bit of pressure on the stock price post the numbers, but I think sub 180 levels, your downside is extremely protected.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to pay attention to two very good developments. Despite the block deal that's happened on Cipla, the counter is the top gainer on the Nifty. Now that denotes strength. Remember, Cipla is a low beta counter. It doesn't react the way it is doing now, especially when supply has come in. So the identity of the buyers will be interesting to know. That will of course come tomorrow only. 3.5% higher, 1404. And Gaurang, your view on Bharti Airtel gets absolutely established. Despite a muted number, below expectations, the counter is in the green. 1% higher, almost 1300 on the charts as far as Bharti Airtel is concerned. Let's look at the most active counter. Okay, at the moment it's Cipla. Let's shift the focus. Let's look at NSE 500. Okay, Siemens we've discussed, Cipla we've done. How about Apollo Tyres? This is interesting because you know, the numbers were nothing at all to talk about, and the counter is in the green. Let me just look at Apollo for you. Apollo Tyres. My apologies. Let's look at a better stock. Let's look at Power Finance Corporation. Mitesh, coming to you. One of those lovely counters that moves phenomenally well. Is it getting its mojo back at 429?
I think during my early shows with BTTV, we had at length discussion about REC PFC in the entire PSU basket, and that's what we repeatedly say, Sailji, that this is just the beginning. The reason being is this, that we have never in the past, I mean in last 1 decade, we have never seen such a phenomenal move on the PSU stocks. So any up move after a breather is been viewed as a suspect, or it's been viewed as a question mark that whether the counter will be able to sustain the up move or not. But believe me, this is just a beginning in case of PSU, and there is no surprise even if BAIL will start trading at 500 rupees going forward. So REC, PFC, BAIL, NTPC, SAIL, any counter you pick up in PSU, especially which are into the FNO space, if you look at the chart pattern, even on hourly and daily basis, Sailji, after every correction, there is a very strong comeback. Okay, so we are of the view that these are the two darlings, REC and PFC. One should continue to buy it. The trend is up, and we have mentioned it over and over again that when you think that the counter has run up so much, Sailji, this is my experience of close to 2 decades in this market, that the trailing stop loss strategy is mostly underrated. So if you are unable to chase this target, please use trailing stop loss as a strategy and continue to be with the trend. It might happen that your stop loss may hit 2 or 3 times, but eventually the amount of money which you will make out of this marathon trend is phenomenal. So use a trailing stop loss and keep moving in these kind of counters. This is just a beginning of the rally, and if you want to know more about it, just study the quarterly charts. You can understand the kind of up move which this counter will show you going forward.
Fair point. So PFC, ladies and gentlemen, and REC, these are delivery trades despite the fabulous money that have already been made, either whether you're looking at charts or whether you're looking at fundamentals. The other point of good, how should I say, market strategy at the moment is how the Adani group is behaving. All 10 stocks in the green. Remember, Mitesh started his conversation with Adani Enterprises. That's 1.3% higher, 3079. It's a nice shade of green across Adani Ports, across Ambuja Cement, across Adani Wilmar, Adani Power, as well as Adani Green. Coming to you, Gaurang, would you like to make a choice between Power Finance Corporation or REC, and anything that catches your fancy in the market so far which may have attracted you either by price or by value?
So, a question was put forward to me when all these stocks corrected, when that additional 5% general provisioning shell, if you remember, that scarecrow that was there in the street. And, everybody whom I spoke to on the street,
Yes.
including certain analysts, well-known analysts, were of the opinion that this particular provision, which according to RBI was a proposed one, had already been put into effect, and that all these companies have gone on on a reverse drive as far as their order books are concerned. I was of a very different opinion, Shail. I think first of all, if the government is pushing for increasing infrastructure, increasing manufacturing activity, then if you put a spoke in the wheel in terms of additional 5% in a phased out 3-manner additional provisioning for infrastructure projects, then that's going to be detrimental, and it will eventually raise the cost for the end, for the last person in the chain or in the line. I think it's going to be, and I have always maintained that PFC, REC are very strong companies. They've performed very well over the last year and a half. And I think on fallback of order book and the opportunities that lies ahead, they are going to do even better. Though this is not a specific comment in terms of buy, sell and hold on REC, PFC, because we don't have a coverage. But a third name I would like to pick over here is Power Grid. I think at 310, 311, it's a company which is well placed in terms of distribution of grid networks for distribution of power generated from one end to the other end. Secondly, they have also expressed their desire in terms of putting their footprints in the conventional, not in the conventional power generation, but in terms of solar generation, and they are preparing a decent amount of capacity for that. Last year, this company declared 3 or 4 dividends, and last year I think there was a bonus also. For every 3 shares held, there was 1 bonus, if I'm not mistaken. And despite after all these adjustments, the stock is at all-time high. So this is the kind of opportunity that you could look at.
Okay, fair enough. So that's the entire power space right there and how to approach it. Mitesh, I also want to draw your attention to one stock from the metals basket, and that's Vedanta. The stock has been in the thick of action. Yesterday, it rose 5% ahead of the board meet to consider dividend and fundraising plans. In fact, it touched a 14-year high level as well. How are you looking at the stock? It's again at the day's high, 3% up right now.
Yeah, so Sakshi, first of all, disclaimer, we are following a system and method approach on a weekly chart. So for the week ended 23rd of February 2024, the stock qualified as a buy on 268.35, and we have advocated it to all our clients. So our clients has a buy side trade formation in these stocks. I don't have any buy side trade formation. This is simply a breakout after a very long period of time. If you look at the chart pattern, I mean, since 2010, after forming a high at 495, the stock has not delivered any return. So what we are talking about, Sakshi, here is a 14 years of a consolidation phase. Even during the COVID period in 2022, after COVID period 2022, the stock has hit a high of 440 and then didn't move up and delivered a very poor return. So it's a years of consolidation which is now playing out for the stock. So we are of the view that, like REC PFC, this is just a beginning for Vedanta, and sooner than later we will see the stock trading between 500 to 600. So we have a very aggressive target on this. When the stock has qualified as a buy target, we put a target of at 236, we put a target of 400. Now we are revising our target to 550 and 600. So this is just a beginning of a trend. We are of the view that long way to go in this stock. So definitely one should get into the counter. But again, as I said, if you don't have habit of following a very strict stop loss policy or a very strict trailing stop loss policy, then please do not enter into such highly volatile counters.
Okay, understood. That's a fair point. Gaurang, overall in the metal space, how are you positioned and do you like any stocks after the recent run-up?
So, and I hope this run up stays, Sakshi, because very often we've seen in the past that run up in the metal space is limited to a certain level and then it gets fizzled off because of the unfortunate news flow from China or global uh, commodity prices movement with respect to ferrous and non-ferrous. As far as the opportunities in the metal space on the fundamental is concerned, JSPL, JSW Steel, Hindalco, and Tata Steel. These are the four priorities that we would like to give from a long-term investment perspective.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are at 9:37, and uh, the sentiment is good on the Dalal Street. Let me just put it in a very simple fashion. There is very strong traction coming into the entire PSU basket. Remember, this is the entire high beta space. We'll start with Union Bank of India, 4% higher, 139. Banks, of course, are represented by the Nifty PSU Banking Index, which is the top performer. Punjab and Sindh Bank, 4% higher, 58.5. In the metal space, Midhani, this is actually it's a defense play. They make specialized metals for tanks, for missiles, for artillery shells. 3.8% higher, 450. Canara Bank. Okay, now this is something that I'd like to ask Gaurang first. Gaurang, one of those fabulous performances over the last 3 years when the QIP of Canara Bank was done at 150 rupees pre-split, and a whole host of market participants had come in. The price after that adjustment is somewhere like it's what, 117 into 5, that takes me to 585. Would you hold a view on Canara Bank?
A very strong view, and I'm glad that you popped this question to me, to be very honest. I would say that this is a great opportunity for, first of all, let me give a disclosure. We have a coverage on Canara Bank on the fundamental side. Along with that, in the PSU banking space, State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, Bank of India, and PNB. These are the other names. But this is a great opportunity, and Shell, always remember whether the stock is adjusted for face value split or whether our stock is adjusted for bonus. Most of these companies which are fundamentally strong always give you a comeback in terms of higher levels after a brief period of consolidation for that adjustment that it has to do, whether it is split or whether it is bonus. So, notwithstanding the short to medium term volatility in the market, I think this is a great opportunity for investors from a long term point of view to participate and get into Canara Bank from a long term point of view.
Okay, Mitesh, can we get your expertise on technical charts on Canara Bank, one of the fabulous outperformers of the last 3 years? I've personally seen the stock appreciate from 150 to what is now 620, I think was the most recent high. Now 5-for-1 split. What are the charts telling you after this adjustment today?
Yeah, so if you look at the chart pattern, I mean, after post adjustment, the stock has hit its all time high in year 2010 at around 163.77 odd levels. And if you look at the quarterly chart, Shailji, so on the quarterly chart, since last 3 quarters, after forming its bottom in the range of 56 adjusted price between 53 to 60, the stock is now going up and forming heart of higher bottom formation. I mean, if you look at the run from 2009 to 2010 on the quarterly chart, the similar chart pattern has played out, and we are of the view that this is just a beginning. Very strong counter technically, so one should go and buy the stock at 113 odd levels. Probably going forward, we can see a target of 180-220 sooner than later. So yes, within the banking space, within the PSU, 2 banks stands out as of now. First is Bank of Baroda, second is Canara Bank. You can go ahead and form a buy side trade formation in Canara Bank for sure.
Okay.
Okay, and one very quick view I want on MCX from you, Mitesh ji. I believe we are going to see a digit change today, 39.48.
Yeah. So both, as I said, early trades, IEX was looking promising. Now, after spending half an hour on 15-minute chart, MCX is now qualified above 3940. So it has given a breakout above 3940. Stock is trading at 3956. It's definitely a long for the day. 3900 should be your stop loss. 4450 target for intraday, and if you hold it for the next 5 to 7 days, then probably 4200 is on the card. Very strong setup. One should go long in the counter at the current level.
Okay, understood that. Well, apart from this, it's the chemical space that's also showing up some moves. I can see Tata Chemicals in the F&O space about 3% higher in trade. Then there's also stocks like Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers, that's also buzzing in action. Of course, we also have stocks like Naveen Fluorine that are doing well at this point in time. Mitesh, any stocks from the chemical basket that look positive to you on the charts right now? Would you trade any of them?
The one stock which stand out, Sakshi, is Naveen Fluorine. If you look at the chart of Naveen Fluorine, stock has now comfortably trading above 3300, and technically above 3320. Stock has given a very strong breakout. So we are of the view that at 3381, this is just a beginning of a trend, and one should go long in the stock with a stop of 3250 for a potential target of 3600 and 3700. Apart from that, another stock in the cash segment which we like very much is Vinity Organics. In recent past, from 1700 odd level, stock has given a decent correction, and now we are of the view that at the current level, stock is definitely forming its bottom. So Vinity Organics is a buy with a stop of 1500 for a potential target of 1700 and 1800 for the next 1 to 3 months. So Naveen Fluorine and Vinity Organics are the two choices as far as chemical sector goes.
Understood. So that's as far as the chemicals and the fertilizer space is concerned. One other stock that I wanted to discuss with Gaurang is Varun Beverages after the earnings and brokerage houses uptake, and the stock has also reacted positively again for the second day in a row. It's showing up some higher takes. Where is the stock really headed?
Well, Sakshi, so I think it's a great company to be in, and with respect to uh, the peer comparison, if I have to do, I don't think, at least as far as my knowledge is there is any peer competitors which I can compare for performance-related, credibilities. Unfortunately, there is no in-depth fundamental coverage on Varun Beverages, so I won't be in a position to comment buy, sell and hold. But it is one of those companies which have got a very niche business, and in terms of business opportunities, I think it's going to be a great performer over a longer term, time horizon.
Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now at 9:45. So half an hour of trade is done. The Nifty is gathering strength. This is such a wonderful thing to discuss. And Sakshi, we haven't spoken about India VIX even once. It's in the red. So it's it's a double party. When you go to Maharaja, when you go to McDonald's and you order a double burger, so it's double the benefit. So Nifty is up and India VIX is down. Let's get Mitesh into this conversation. Mitesh, what's your view on India VIX?
You have rightly pointed out, Sergi. It's like more will make you more. So nowadays everybody's talking about VIX, and today we have forgot to discuss about that. I was thinking about the same thing, that you might bring that point early in the conversation, because that is how the technical works, as you know. But we are of the view that India VIX has formed its recent top at the current level, and we are of the view that going forward it will cool down. So probably the VIX will trade somewhere in the range of 15 to 18 going forward. That is what we are expecting. So yes, definitely India VIX is cooling off, and that is what is visible even in yesterday's trade and today's trade as well. So yes, pulling off of a VIX is a very strong news for us, and going forward, lower levels are achievable.
Okay. So at the moment we are looking for it to slip, and that is such good news. Remember, 13 days we've had a very bad time, and let's hope it goes back to single digits from where it started. But you know, Sakshi, I have a feeling that it will first go to 29 and then go back to 10, be that as it may. For the moment, I don't think so the market is really worried. What's taking it away today, Sakshi? It's Reliance. बहुत दिनों बाद we are seeing some activity. Remember, I had talked about the entire power and energy space clicking fairly well. So Reliance, let's look at the chart. Okay. Well, there's 21 DMA above it, so there's nothing much to talk about. Nevertheless, this is something that you should see. Now, if this breaks out, this will be interesting. Mitesh ji, normally it's a slow mover as far as charts are concerned. Would you hold a view on Reliance Industries?
Yes, sir, a very strong counter, and thanks for bringing that to the closer of the show. If you look at the recent daily chart, first it formed a bottom at 3000 odd level on 20th of March, then it formed a second top, first top at 3000 level, second top at 2950, and since last 4 trading sessions on the daily chart, it is in the process of forming a bottom, and recent yesterday it closed above its immediate resistance level of 2810. Yesterday's cash close was 2840. So we are of the view that now the stock from here on will rally back to the 3000 level, which it has formed on 20th of March 2024. So yes, one can go long with a stop loss of recent low, that is 2780, for a potential target of 3000 in next 10 to 15 days. We are of the view that, Shailji, in the next 10 to 15 days from the last gap, the only counter which can surprise on the upside is Reliance, looking at hourly and daily chart pattern.
Okay. All right, we'll keep an eye out on Reliance Industries for then. But you know, I'll get Gaurang's view on the primary market space as well, because there are 2 new listings that are supposed to take place. TBO Tech is the first one. Remember, the issue price was 920. In the pre-open trade, the price is settling in at 1380. So very sharp premium listing is what you can expect on TBO Tech at 10 a.m. Aadhar Housing, on the other hand, has settled at just about 315 rupees a share, which is exactly the issue price. So very flat listing is what you can expect on that one. And of course, there's a new IPO that's opening up for subscription, that is Go Digit General Insurance. Gaurang, what excites you in the primary market space? Anything where you've given your recommendation on?
These are some good businesses, and in terms of valuation, they are quite attractive. But again, you know, Sakshi, we did not initiate any IPO note coverage on either of these 3 names. And my humble request to all the viewers of BTTV is that just don't go after each and every IPO with an expectation that upon listing it will give you 30, 40, 50% return. You need to be very specific with respect to what businesses these companies are into, and who's the management behind it, what is the credibility, and more importantly, Sakshi, how are the valuations justified. So these are the prior criteria that you need to watch out for.
Okay, got that, understood that. Well, Gaurang, on that note, we will again switch focus to some of the other big movers. Gaurang, have you also tracked this Adani Group stocks and the movement right there as far as the recent up move is coming in?
I'm sorry, you're talking about Adani Group companies?
Yes, you had Ambuja Cements as your coverage. You have discussed that before. Have you included any others as well, Adani Ports or something else, maybe from the energy basket from the group?
So Adani Ports and Enterprises and the energy companies which are there. This is not a recommendation, Sakshi. I'm just talking about the businesses and the opportunities in terms of the growth that is likely to happen. So I think Adani Ports, Energy companies which are there are two or three of them. Adani Power is there, Adani Green is there, Adani Total Gas is there, Adani Enterprise, which is the flagship company. I think these are some very strong businesses that the group has. Unfortunately, I would not be in a position to give a clear-cut buy, sell, and hold since there is absence of coverage. But there are some interesting names in the group companies.
Fair point. 9:52, ladies and gentlemen. 8 minutes left to wrap up market today. We are almost, well, not exactly in the middle of the week because Saturday is also a working day this time. And but the tone and the tenor of the market is fairly good. You have 0.5% uptick on the Nifty 500 index, and that, ladies and gentlemen, tells you all. It discusses the broader, how should I say, shade of green that is there on Dalal Street. It discusses buoyancy. It reflects how people are thinking in terms of trades. And when you look at prices of high beta, low ticket items, there is all round happiness which is back on Dalal Street. Let me just present the volume picture to you as far as NSE 500 is concerned. We look at Oberoi Realty. Remember, this is the earnings boy. It has already traded 4.6 times its 5-day average. The counter is at a record high. You have a strong move coming into Thermax, 8% higher. Remember, it was also the company that declared its earnings on Monday. Again, fresh record high, 5,073. Already 2.3 times the volume has come in. You have Siemens, 5.5% higher, fresh record high. 2x its volume is in place. Linde India, we don't discuss this stock in general, again a record high, 6.8% higher, 8850, 1.5 times the average. The underlying theme here is, ladies and gentlemen, there are NFOs that are open which are looking at the manufacturing sector over the longer term and providing investors an opportunity to buy these counters, not individually but as a block, and therefore you see this run up happening. This was my first question to Gaurang when he joined us. What else is clicking? I think metals is in fine shape. Vedant is doing pretty well. You have Coal India, 2.4% higher, 461. You have the entire Adani group doing a lot of heavy lifting, and you have lots of frontline PSU banks doing pretty well. In terms of volume, I think it's a fairly good day. Siemens has clocked 770 crores already, and we are just half an hour, 35 minutes of trade. Cipla has clocked in 450 crores. HDFC Bank has clocked in 416 crores. And Sakshi, what I see is what I tell you. In the first 22 stocks in terms of volume plays, only 5 are in the red. That shows you that the momentum and the mojo on the long side is back on Dalal Street. Sakshi.
All right, some more counters that are doing very well at this point. BSE, the shares are 5% higher in trade. You also have Sterling and Wilson, that's up about 5% again in trade. We've been discussing V-Mart retail, that's again up in trade. You also have some more stocks that are buzzing. Apart from the ones that we've discussed, there is some action coming back on the FMCG space. So Colgate reported its numbers. Let's get Gaurang's view before we let him go on the FMCG space as well. Gaurang, how are you placed after the earnings have come in? Some green shoots managements did point out that they are looking at, and now Colgate, of course, highest ever margins coming in. But are you positive on any of these big ones, or would you stick with, say, an ITC?
Sakshi, before I answer that question on a lighter note, this sector is always a victim of inflation. Whenever you see inflation numbers going up, a common person would normally tend with its choices. Now, in good times, you would possibly bathe with a Dove bath foam or a Dove soap. In bad times, you will switch to Lifebuoy. Similarly, in good times, you will use Colgate or Close Up, which is a fluoride-based toothpaste. And in bad times, you will possibly switch on to something like a Dabur Lal Dant Manjan. But the fact of the matter is that you are going to take your bath, you are going to freshen up your mouth either by a toothpaste or a manjan, and you are going to consume your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your teas and the coffees. What I'm trying to say, Sakshi, is that bad times makes a person change to alternatives, but it is not that you stop consuming things. So the thing is that as and when things come back to normal, you again switch back to your luxuries. We are extremely positive about the FMCG sector, be it names which are associated with catering to the semi-urban rural India, or be it names which are catering to the higher end of the segment. So starting with your Colgate, Britannia, Nestle, Dabur, Marico, Tata Consumer, Godrej Consumer, Imami, ITC, HUL, all this remains in our coverage, and India was, is and will always remain a consumption driven economy.
Okay, wonderful. Fair point taken. That's very well explained to all the viewers too. Many thanks, Gaurang, for being with us and staying that extra 10 minutes for us. Truly a pleasure to host you as always on Business Today television as well. Well, with that, we will continue our discussion. Last few minutes to go with Mitesh also. Mitesh, any last word on the FMCG stocks? Anything looks positive?
Sorry. Hindustan HUL, Hindustan Unilever Limited, that is looking promising on the chart, and a few times the stock failed to give its up move, but slowly and gradually we are of the view that the stock will surprise the street. So with a stop of 2280, one can go long at the current level for a potential target of 2500, 2600. The stock need to close about 2380. We are of the view that based on the hourly and the daily chart, stock sooner than later will close about 2380 and will eventually enter into a new trading range. So HUL is looking promising on a daily and hourly charts.
Right. Okay. Well, viewers, it's time to then end this show. With that, we will quickly wrap up. The Nifty about 44 points higher in rate, 22,260 odd levels. So we are seeing somewhat stability coming in as far as the Nifty moves are concerned. It's holding above that 22,250 odd mark right now. Let's hope that it sustains for the day. And when we talk about the kind of movers that we are seeing, of course, we've discussed with you is the PSU banks that are doing very well in trade today. Mid caps are also doing well in trade. That's where all the action is among the broader markets. So the mid cap 100 index is now up 1%, small caps up by 1% as well. You also have, sectorally speaking, gains coming in on the metals pack that continues for the second day in a row. Realty is up and about 2% higher, 0.5% gains for the consumer durables. Oil and gas up by 0.8%. So barring just flattish trade on Nifty Bank and just about flattish trade on the auto space. Rest of the space is actually looking good in trade today. Cipla, Adani Enterprises, Coal India, Dr. Reddy's, Tata Steel, Adani Ports as the top movers on the Nifty. And on the downside, you do have stocks like Eicher Motors, 1.2% down, JSW Steel, Sun Pharma, Tata Consumer Products, HDFC Bank and Bajaj Auto as the top drags on the Nifty. F&O space, a buzz with Oberoi Realty, we've discussed on the show, Siemens as well, Cipla, Gujarat Narmada, Pali Fertilizers and Biocon. So these are the names that you're looking at right now. Let's shift focus to the primary market action where the listing of two companies is taking place. TBO Tech lists at 1411. And that's a sharp 53% premium listing for TBO Tech. Aadhar Housing Finance at 314 it's listed at. So absolutely flattish listing for Aadhar Housing Finance, just about 1% lower in trade. It's now ebbing lower in trade at about 312 odd levels. So those are the two listings that we have seen, but a stellar one from TBO Tech.
Mr. Sri Ramakrishnan to present the memento to Mr. Devshankar Tripathi and Mr. Rishi Anand from NSE. This is the iconic bell that will be presenting.
Yes, it is the time to celebrate. Mary.
Increasing manufacturing is not that easy, given the kind of mistakes that were made in the past, or the lack of progress, I would say, in the past. I'll give you an example. We don't have the infrastructure. How